Okay, we previously just created our first prototype of the login form, our basic login and sign up form, and we put them here just for convenience on the same page as the docs. Now this isn't ideal practice for many reasons, and one main reason being that prototyping cannot occur between pages without a clunky hack, which is a major oversight of Figma in my opinion. So we're going to have to move these onto their own page, which makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to cut those from my docs page. I'm moving to this page which I've called prototype. And I'm going to paste them in there, and this will be our mobile prototype. And as you can see, it's still linked, so it still works. Now we have a prototype, we can start to see the benefits of adding variants. So we do need to update our forms, as we said, with more content. But now that we have a prototype, we can actually start creating variants of our components, like hover and different states and variants of buttons. And we can see how those work with the prototype. Okay, so first let's do, in this video, let's do a quick intro to hover states, and we're going to do this on our input and our button. So let's go to the main component of the input, which is this. Basically it's our pip with a styling wrapper, and in order to do a state variant, we need to add a variant to the component. When I click this, you'll see we've got two now inside this dotted layer, to which I'm going to add auto layer just for simplicity. And we have two variants. Now if I click on this one, it's property 1 is default. If I click on this one, property 1 is variant 2. So we need to figure out what we're doing here. Well, this is our default state, so I'm just going to call the property state default, and this one state, and rename this one to hover. And now we have to update our styling to be the hover state we want. So we need to change something about this, that when we hover it's going to visibly change. And what we're going to do basically is to make the border darker. So I'm going to select the hover state, and I'm going to go to the stroke. I'm going to change the variant. Now our strategy was to have named colors, so we have input border default here, but we don't have the hover yet. I have to add it. So let's go to local variables, let's go to our colors, and we're going to add a new one. Color input border hover. And at the moment we don't have a huge palette of grays, which we will fix in a later video when we need them. For now we're just going to darken it to grey 10. Now we've created the design system token. We can update it here, hover, and this is the hover state. So when we hover, it's going to do this. So we can easily test this out by going to our new prototype. So if I go to the prototype, we want to make these all action on hover, all of the inputs. Now if I did these individually, that would be very painful. So design systems don't work that way. So we're going to go back to the main component, and what we're going to actually do is add the interaction here. And to do that I need to go to prototype, and we will select this. I will join these up, and it will give us our interaction panel. And we're going to change this to while hovering, change to state hover. Dissolve will give us a transition fade. Now we're going to go and test that on our new prototype page. We got prototype selected. Click on the artboard. It seems to have lost our flow starting point, so let's do that again. Back on new Figma, and let's click play. Now when I hover, all of these are updated, and even if we go to sign in, the email is also updated. Back to login. So all of these have now been updated. So now we have a nice hover state for our system. And what about the button? Well, let's go and fix our button too. Back to design. Let's just shortcut to our button via this go to main component. Same again. Add a variant. This one's going to be called hover. The property should be state. So we have default, and we have now hover. So we need to change the styling. Okay. So let's change the styling. We can do what we did before, right? We can create a new background color. At the moment we have color button BG default, so we want a hover state. So let's do color BG. Okay, let's just make sure we get this right. This is where the architecture comes in handy to have a reference. Color button BG hover. Now I'm going to make this link to our library. Let's make that grey 10. Okay. So then we have to, let's just close that, and then we're going to have to select this. State hover, change the color of the background to color button BG hover. Now it's black. But our text is now color text is black on black, so we're going to need a new token for this, a contrasting color token. So let's call it color text. I'll call it contrast. You could call it inverse or any other name, and we're going to call that one grey 90. We're going to call grey 90 when we invoke this. So text is now grey 90 mapped. Now we can close this. We can select our text, and we're going to change it to the color text contrast. Let's add the interaction. Prototype, join, on click, nope, while hovering, change to hover, dissolve, as before. And if we go to our prototype and we press play, hovers work and our hovers all work. So now that we have our prototype and we have some interaction patterns going on, we can delve deeper into our design system. The basics are pretty much now set up, and all we need to do is elaborate. Let's get to it.